So you guys not being invited to Brazil, how's it feel being here instead of Brazil? You guys feel like the second team or first team? First team? Okay, good. Now that that's clear. Go ahead. What do you guys got? Anything? Nothing?
Updates on injuries?
Update on injuries. Which one would you like to know?
Mike Adu.
Start of defense, yeah.
Mike Adu. Mike Adu has a Jones fracture. He was operated on yesterday. Jones fracture, 5th metatarsal, 8 weeks. Nick Watkins had a procedure to stimulate bone growth. We'll take another look at it in probably 4 weeks. We're hopeful that this procedure, which is you know, a bit of an aggressive procedure, does the trick. We're very hopeful that it will, and we think you know, we got a good shot at him in 4 weeks.
And then I think Daniel Cage.
Grade 1 hamstring.
Okay, and is that similar to Studstill and Adams? Just
Yes.
very minor?
Yep. Studstill, Adams to a lesser extent. We're just being careful with him.
And then last one, at the end of practice there, Dexter went down, it looked like maybe.
Somebody said a boo-boo.
Okay.
Torrey wasn't out there that much today.
He's got a little bit of tendonitis. Just be careful. We're at that point where, you know, some guys are going to have some designated, you know, we've got 50 GPS units on guys. So we've been monitoring their intensity through repetition over the last 7 practices, 6 practices now. So some of these guys, for example, a couple of guys will have day off this afternoon from practice, and some guys were scheduled to be pushed back to about 250 units to 300 units. Torrey was one of those guys today.
Right, Jeff Menendez had a drop long late in the practice. You walked over the sideline and had some words with him. What was your instruction to him?
You know, he has a tendency to want to, you know, catch the ball, you know, with his hands up. You know, he's just got to flip his hands and be a little bit more aggressive. He's dealing with an injury on his thumb, you know, first time. You know, he's protecting it. He's got to be a little bit more aggressive. So just, you know, just be a little bit more aggressive with your hands. He's doing a really nice job for us. He's going to get open a lot. You know, he's got very good speed. He's a good route runner. But, you know, he's covering up, you know, for a bit of a, you know, a sprained thumb, and he's got to go get the football.
Randy, Hodge was playing first team right guard today. Have you rotated that like you've done with the quarterbacks?
Yes, very similar. Yeah, Colin's been in there. Hunter's been in there. So we've had 3 guards at that position so far.
And so you're just looking at that, the best 2 out of 3 are going to start, because it could be any 2 of the 3.
Yeah, Ron, come on in.
No, I'm sorry, Coach.
You sure, Ron?
No, thanks.
You don't want another press conference? No. Ron Paulus, everybody. Yeah, you know, in terms of the 3 guys, you know, we think that 2 of the 3 can play 2 positions, Colin and Hunter. Tristan can play 2, but it's the center and guard position. So, you know, there's some position flexibility there. And to answer the question this way is because we don't want to just put one guy there, because they got to play another position as well. So that's why we're rotating all 3 of them. And it's going to take a little bit longer to do it that way, but we don't want to take them away from their other position that they have to hold down as well.
What do you like about Hodge? I mean, if Hodge becomes...
Athleticism, pulling. You know, we run a lot of pull game. We're not, in 2012, we were strictly an inside-outside zone team. You know, the Golick kid, you know, big kid, didn't move great, but he was physical as heck. I mean, he would knock you in the mouth, and he would be a good fit in that kind of offense. This offense requires more of a puller, a guy that is more a guy that can get out in space, and Tristan can do that. Colin can do that. You know, even Hunter can do that. He's pretty athletic. So we've changed the nature of the guard position, if you will. He's got to be a guy that can get out and run.
Is Vivid more like a Golick? Is that what you're saying, as opposed to the other 2 are a little bit more?
I'm not prepared to say that yet. It's just that those other 2 guys are moving really well. right now.
Miles Boykin had some good moments for us today. What have you seen from him in camp?
You know, he's work in progress. We know his skill set. I mean, he's got a catching radius that's incredible. He releases from the line incredibly well. He's smart, but he's a bit inconsistent right now. And I think that would be the case with all of those guys that are in there. But, they show flashes, and the flashes are pretty exciting. But, he's still got some work to do. He misjudges the ball here and there. He's a big guy. He doesn't need to jump. He just needs to stay on his feet and needs to catch the ball more consistently.
So Dalen had a sack during the contact portion.
Yeah.
Where do you see his role kind of fitting in this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's that hybrid guy that can drop, that can come off the edge. I mean, he's, I see him in our sub package. He can play over the tight end. I mean, he's been impressive. Yeah, he's going to be a good player for us.
With Nick Watkins out, does that in any way alter the plan in the defensive backfield? Because you had high hopes for him at the nickel.
Yeah, no, we're in pretty good shape. We feel like the depth that we've got there, it just means some freshmen will be elevated into a more prominent role.
Are you going to keep him at left corner for now, or still
Nick?
play him at nickel?
No, he'll get a chance to start at the cornerback position, absolutely. Yep.
Brian, you mentioned the other day that one of the big ones you first was someone emerged behind Torio. Has anyone emerged yet, a receiver?
I think what's happening is that, so you got a lot of things going on here, right? You got two quarterbacks vying for competition, as well as, three receivers that are virtually new to the system and trying to build a relationship with the quarterback at the same time. So there's a lot of moving parts. So I think it's really just, a lot of work in progress where we think that when it's time to play, we'll have a pretty good group on the field. It's just going to take some time for it all to kind of gel together. And it's not going to be in game one. It's going to be, this offense will be productive and will get better as the season progresses.
Brian, the other day I asked you about Redfield, and you said you needed a few practices to see if he was going to be consistent.
You remembered that. You remembered that.
Coming back to
You
you.
remembered that. I'm glad you brought that up. Been very pleased with Max Redfield. He has elevated to that level of consistent performer. He's been, I hate to throw, kind of cliches around, but he's been that guy that everybody was hoping for out of high school. He's playing at that level. He's at an elite level. The way he's practicing, the way his volume has increased where he can go all day and play at a high level.
What do you think turned the light on for him as far as consistency?
Maturity, just matured. He went through a couple of rough spots and decided that, I think being a leader, being in his last year, I've seen it over 26 years. Sometimes it just, time, and he's been impressive.
Brian, Will Linebacker, anybody, Asmar seems to be the guy so far. Has he distanced himself at this point?
No, I would not characterize him being the guy thus far. I would say he's one of the guys. It's Asmar, it's Greer Martini's there. Tavon's doing a great job. I think all three of those guys, if you would ask me right now, I'd say Asmar's got to catch the other two guys. Greer's really smart and puts himself in really good positions. And Tavon's been impressive. I'd probably say, Tavon has caught my eye the last couple of, we've scrimmaged back-to-back days now. It's the first time I've done that in a long time. And he's been on it pretty good.
Is there a couple players that have stood out to you so far that you feel like, have really stepped up and have made some plays for you?
Both quarterbacks. They're good.
Yeah.
Dexter has been good. Taryn Folston's been really good, both as a runner up inside, physical, showing no effects of his knee, you know, without a knee brace, running the inside zone play, you know, with, you know, that kind of recklessness that he's not concerned about his knee. Same thing with Coney and Greer, you know, tackling with no concerns. Same thing with Dalen Hayes. But I would say on the offensive side of the ball, you know, those two guys in particular, you know, KJ Stefferson makes some plays here and there. I think all the receivers will make a play here and there. I think defensively, I think the one guy that has elevated his game to a new level on the defensive line, both Isaac Rochelle and Jerry Tillery. Jerry's playing so much more physical. He's at times maybe a little bit finesse last year, but he's playing as a physical three technique this year.
Hey, could you talk about holding the guys accountable, specifically the receivers? If they drop a pass, they're doing push-ups.
Yeah, it's a standard that each unit, you know, we had each unit set their own standards within their group to accountability. You can see the receivers running out, the running backs running out, everybody holding a level of what they want out of their group, both on and off the field. You know, we had one guy that was 10 minutes late to the building, and he was out there running. So, you know, you start with, you know, holding your unit accountable, and then that kind of filters down to holding each other accountable. And that's what we've worked hard on, and you can see it come together.
Quarterbacks, is it a friendly competition? I mean, these guys both want the job, but you don't see a lot of rah-rah or giving high fives between the two guys.
Yeah, it has to be eventually. Sure. They have to come together eventually, and that will come to a point where they're going to have to work together. And you know, right now, you know, obviously their concerns are, you know, playing time and all that, and that's fine for right now, but there'll be a time and place where we'll bring the whole unit together, and it'll be the quarterbacks who will have to galvanize that.
Brian, what do you think of their play so far through 6 days?
It's been really good. I mean, both of them, you know, we're really spending most of our time trying to, we know what they can do. You know, they have to work on their fundamentals every day like everybody else. You know, the game is too hard to just kind of walk in there, but they're working on their fundamentals. They're working on the things that they need to improve on in terms of movement keys and things of that nature. But I think more than anything else is we're trying to make sure that we run the offense through their skills. So every day is not, all right, what did you see to decide about Malik, or what did you see that is going to help you decide on Kaiser? We already know about both of them. It's really about focusing the offensive play calls and the offense that we want to run through Malik, and focusing the play calls and the offense that we want to run through Kaiser. That's really what we're doing right now.
Has there been any separation there between one guy stepping up, doing their version better, I guess?
No.
Is it fair to say, Brian, at the end of the day, the quarterbacks in a couple weeks or wherever, you're not going to be looking as much at other positions in the past? We charted every pass, we did this. This is going to be your feel, your decision, because you know so much about the two of them.
Well, I think that will be part of it. I think what will end up being more than anything else is what's going to be best for our team to help us win, you know, football games. You know, I think that's what for me to think of it any other way. But you know, what's best for the team and what's best overall is how I have to look at it.
When you bring back a kicker, punter, and CJ, your main return guy, what is it that concerns you on special teams? Are there any?
Oh yeah, I think you know, you look at our special team situation, and it's just making sure that you know there's a growth development with a freshman kicker. You know, that's an area that you have to always be concerned with. You know, I think you know the special teams requires finding the right personalities on that team, and that's always about you know making sure you've got the right personnel. So evaluation, and evaluating getting the right people on those teams is crucial. But I think more than anything else is making sure that there's really good development from year 1 to year 2, especially with the place kicker.
Bring some new pieces in, at least takes a little bit of weight off probably, at least, you're not bringing a brand new kicker or a brand new punter. You don't have to worry about the mainstays. Like
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We were much more of a, uncertainty, if you will, last year at this time than certainly we are right now.
Brian, with Mike Devereaux, what makes him a good teacher, which is particularly relevant with all the young guys that he has in the room right now?
Well, I think, and probably everybody in this room would agree, to be a great teacher, you have to be able to effectively communicate, what to the people that are in your charge. And so he does a really good job of communicating, what the plan and what the message is. And so he's a really good communicator. He's got good relationships with all the players. And he's coached a lot of the positions. He's been an offensive line coach. He's coached receivers. So, he has that versatility from an offensive perspective that, he's not going to be one that, say, throws the football around without worrying about how this affects protection, or is never going to be somebody that doesn't recognize the importance of a strong running game, having been an offensive line coach. So I think having that unique ability to have worked in both of those areas, as well as being a really good communicator, makes him very effective at his job.
How far do you think Nick Wisher has come from where he was at this time last year to right now?
So far, I would say that he's made progress in the areas of body control, balance, and volume. At this time last year, we had lost him for 2 or 3 practices already. Overheating, not being able to make it through practice, inconsistency in terms of just being out on the field. Nick hasn't missed a practice. And we've had some pretty hot days out there, and his volume's been high. So I think just in that, his ability to be out there every single day and take the load of the position has been, a big uptick for us.
Curious about
Brian, you
Jay
mentioned-
Hayes and where he's maybe grown as a player, as a person, and how effective he can be for this line.
Well, I think you would start with his growth as a student here. He had his best semester, growth as a person. That's where it really starts. I mean, we see it on the field as much as we see that growth in the classroom. It generally translates itself on the football field. So when they're having a hard time in the classroom, they're generally having a hard time on the football field. Jay had his best semester. He's growing up as a young man, and you see that manifest itself on the football field. And he's a physical son of a gun now. I mean, I remember him on scout team. He gave Tyler Luatua is happy that he's no longer around. And he was a guy that we had to trap and kick out. And he's just a physical football player. And, a combination of him and Dalen, I mean, our edge it's a handful. I mean, and he's going to be a good fit for us.
Brian, you mentioned Dexter Williams being a guy that has stepped up.
Yes.
What makes him a potentially special player for you?
Explosiveness. He's very explosive, runs with a bit of a reckless abandon, and he's powerful. I mean, you might not think of it when you look at him, but he's very, very strong. His measurables are such that they translate very well as an explosive runner, especially as an inside-out runner.
And Corey Robinson, what are you getting from him, and what do you like about him, the way he's still been very active with you guys?
Well, he's got a great personality, and he's so likable, and everything that he, I don't know that he could yell at anybody, so he's a great balance with me, and I'll shout something, and he'll have a smile on his face when he brings that same point to a kid. So they love having him around. He can bring his experience. Hey, I remember I ran this route this way, and maybe if you try this. So it's great to have him around. He's a positive influence. Him and Doug Randolph, both of them, extremely upbeat kids, very smart kids, and our team really respects both of them.
In the past, when you've played true freshmen extended periods of time, what are the marks you've seen in the first 5 or 6 practices of a given fall camp that jump out at you and make you think we've beaten these guys so soon?
Generally, that they possess the want to. In other words, they want to play. They're not afraid to play. There can't be a hesitancy, when you look at them, in a sense that hey, I'm here to play. I want to play. I'm excited about playing. I'd say right now that if you ask me about Javon McKinley, Chase Claypool, KJ Stefferson, those three true freshmen, they want to play. They expect to play. And so I think you need that from freshmen, especially with the defensive backs. Devontae Vaughn, Tony Pride, I mean, Julius, all those guys, they expect and want to. Stud still. They want to play. So I think that's the first thing. If they kind of like don't have that look in their eye, that would be my first concern. All these guys expect to and have a bit of a swagger to them that they want to play.
Coach, what have you seen from C.J. Sanders? I know coming back from injury.
Pretty smooth performer. He's a guy that picks it up, but there's a learning curve there. The game, he's still learning the game. Like, we had a screen today where, Colin McGovern's trying to get out on a screen, and it was set up beautifully, and he waited for the ball to come to him instead of setting the screen up off the guard. Little nuances like that where this is the first time it happened to him. It's the first time that he had seen that. So there's a learning curve there for him, but he catches the ball, he's smooth, he's great in special teams, and he'll be an effective slot receiver for us with him and Fink, and we'll move other guys in there as well. We think we've got 2 or 3 guys that can give us really good production at that position.
You mentioned Fink. It seems like he catches everything. What's been your assessment of him thus far?
He's been pretty good. I mean, I think he's probably the most disrespected player on the team. He's like, I looked at his numbers yesterday, and he didn't get enough reps, and I was kind of told the staff he needs to get more reps, and then he got more reps today, and he made more plays. So, just a kid that the more times he touches the ball, he continues to make more plays. And I love saying this, and I hope this gets out on all airwaves. He's Robbie Toma with more speed. I hope Robbie hears that.
He'll hear.
Yeah, okay.
Brian, you mentioned Rochelle earlier. You like what you see so
Yeah.
far. Could you kind of expand on what you're seeing and what the expectations are there?
Yeah, his movement, his short speed, his first step quickness. He was a bit of a lumberer at times. He was more of a, win at the point of attack, much more agile. I think if the quarterback comes out on a boot, he's going to be there and be effective. Just much more active, great shape physically, holding his weight. He had a tendency to lose a lot of weight during camp, and has been a great leader for us. But physically, he looks the part and has done a great job with that quickness, change of direction that we needed from him, and he's shown it.
Autry Denson obviously made an immediate impact both as a coach and maybe even more so in recruiting trail.
Yeah.
Why do you think the kids all kind of gravitate towards him? What's his message that appeals to him so much?
I think it's like anything else, sincerity. They know that he cares about them as, people first and players second. Cares about who they are, and that's genuine and sincere, and that always is going to trump, what can you do for me as a running back? What can you do for me as a student and a person? And Autry brings that to the table.
Brian, what was it with Dexter that kind of got him turning the corner and becoming a factor?
Confidence at Notre Dame. Confidence that he was going to succeed here.
You mean in the classroom too?
Oh, sure. In this community, Miami, coming up here, making the transition, and having success, and knowing that he can be successful here at Notre Dame. And then he's done a great job of transforming himself physically, and he's stronger and he's faster. But I think more than anything else is making the climb, and the transition from Miami to Notre Dame, and feeling that he's made that and has accomplished himself. He feels really good about what he's been able to do, even this summer in the classroom.
Ryan, going back to when you hired Harry for the 2012 season, I'm just curious, what did you know about him and his reputation at the time? Maybe where did you hear somebody?
I knew Harry back from Cincinnati, and got to know him through some. When I was at the University of Cincinnati, we hosted, and they still host, the largest offensive line clinic. Coach McNally hosts it at Cincinnati. I got to know Harry there. And I always liked, just the way he, was teaching it, but more so the way he just interacted with everybody around the game. He wasn't just a pro, at the time he was in the NFL, but he was not your typical NFL coach where he just hung out with the NFL guys. He was with college guys. It was easy for him to be with the high school guys. And I always liked that about him. It wasn't that he held himself to a standard that, hey, I'm an NFL coach. He was more at ease talking ball in the back of the classroom with high school coaches. And that always kind of stood out to me that he'd be really good working with anybody. Good?
Thanks, everybody.